Arizona State will make its last road trip of the season, perhaps to the Rose Bowl for the last time, at least in the foreseeable future, as the Sun Devils will take on the 6-3 UCLA Bruins. Nick Borgia of Devil's Digest joined alongside our publisher, Hode Urbino, to preview this matchup. And Hode, obviously this season has been very trying for ASU, already at 7 losses, looking to bounce back, but after a 55-3 defeat last Saturday, bouncing back might require some more resolve than usual.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that, Nick, because you look at all the losses that ASU had to take out the Fresno State one 29-0, and when Kenny Dillingham, when the coaching staff, the players are saying we're close, there definitely was some merit to it. There were a lot of games decided by one score. Even the USC game, which technically was a 2-score loss, it still was a game that ASU was into it very deep into the fourth quarter. So the Utah game really only resembles, I would say, the Fresno State game, where there was absolute futility on both the offense and the defense. I mean, I guess in some way I'll take that back against Fresno State, because I thought the defense under the circumstances actually did not that bad of a job. But against Utah, it definitely was a matter of an offense being very anemic and the defense just not finding any answers early on to Utah, really having the Utes catch them off guard with some of the plays, some of the schemes that were running that Saturday in Salt Lake City. So, I think that there were a lot of games that maybe the offense had more to pick themselves off the floor compared to the defense, if that makes sense. But I think this is definitely a week where both the offense and the defense both have the same level of redemption, of desire to really take out that sour taste out of their mouth. And we'll see how much their resolve really is going to show up on Saturday. We know Kenny Dillingham was saying after the Tuesday and Wednesday practices that due to injuries all across various positions, he really had to scale back practices. So it was really hard to gauge if there was a high level of energy, if there really was a high level of physicality in practices, because of those elements, which on the one hand are not that foreign at all for taking place this late in the year. But on the other hand, when you're a team like ASU, and like you said, trying to find that resolve, trying to really show that you can successfully fight adversity, that's just one more significant hurdle that ASU is going to try to overcome in this 2023 season.
So when we look at UCLA, there is some uncertainty at quarterback. The Bruins unsure if they're going to get back Dante Moore or Ethan Garbers, both, neither. But regardless of that, this UCLA team very similar to Utah in the sense that they have a very strong rushing attack, to where it might not matter who's under center for the Bruins.
Yeah, it really is a copy and paste of this Utah offense, which was able to do okay despite some issues at quarterback. And issues at quarterback at Utah, I think, were more severe throughout the year compared to UCLA. But at this point, there's no clear indication whether it's going to be Garbers starting, whether it's going to be Moore starting, where both of them actually going to see action. We know that their third-string quarterback, Colin Schlee, is somebody who did not do well at all throwing the ball against Arizona in a loss in Tucson last Saturday. And his strength is actually in the running game. So you're really looking at a UCLA offense, like you said, Nick. Their bread and butter is the ground attack. They average 204 yards. Between T.J. Harden and Steele, the two top running backs, they got 11 touchdowns between them. Colin Schlee, the quarterback I just mentioned, has 3 touchdowns. So if there are going to be some issues in the passing game, whether their top 2 quarterbacks do or do not play, and if they play, maybe not playing really at 100%, they can definitely rely on the running game. And this is just another very stiff test for Arizona State, who met a Utah rushing attack that was one of the best in the league, and now they're actually meeting really the creme de la creme of the Pac-12 when it comes to running the ball. So you'd like to think that there were some really hard lessons learned from the Utah game when it comes to the run fits, when it comes to just the overall scheme of stopping the run. And the thing is, you have a head coach in Chip Kelly who is an absolute mastermind on offense, but a lot of people maybe unfairly point to how creative he is in the passing game. But the thing is with Chip Kelly, this goes back to the days back in Oregon, he is definitely somebody who can be very, very creative in the ground attack, and he definitely has proven players that all year long have been able to put up really, really impressive numbers for UCLA. And there were some quarterbacks issues with the Bruins, earlier in the year, maybe again not as severe as other teams in the league, but the ASU defense, much like last week, we're definitely going to have their hands full, and it's really going to be more on the ground than it's going to be in the air. So again, with that film of the Utah contest, as unpleasant as it was to watch, I'm sure, for the defense, you would hope that the lessons that they can learn from that contest and from what Utah was able to do successfully can hopefully help them against UCLA. But make no mistake about it, not that Utah is not creative at all with the running game, but whatever level of creativity that they have, the Bruins' creativity on the ground is really tenfold, and that's what the ASU defense is going to have to deal with.
So the Sun Devils have some uncertainty at quarterback of their own, but even if this offense wasn't as banged up as it is, and if it was firing on all cylinders, they'd still be faced with a very tough UCLA defense. Kenny Dillingham feels that the front seven for UCLA is the toughest in the entire conference, maybe the nation.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the numbers UCLA is putting up, and again, I hate to go back to Utah all the time, but there definitely are some parallels over there. But one thing that actually is different is that the UCLA defense is putting up even better numbers than Utah, believe it or not. We're sitting here a week ago today talking about a Utah defense that is averaging 17 points. UCLA is averaging 16. We talked about a Utah run defense that's averaging 87 yards. This UCLA is a run defense not only averaging 70 yards, they allowed one rushing touchdown the entire season. So I think that sums it up right there, that this ASU ground game, which already has issues with an offensive line that's banged up and starting true freshmen in the starting five, and we don't know what the availability of DeCarlos Brooks is going to be for this game. And like you said, on top of that, just the uncertainty at quarterback. So when you have a front seven that part of a defense that has 34 sacks, that's almost an average of 4 sacks per game. This ASU offense is really going to have a hard time cracking that defense. I think the approach is really going to be the same. That whoever's going to be the quarterback, they need to get the ball, get rid of the ball fast, to really not let that sack, not let that pass rush ability for the Bruins really establish themselves. It's not that the Bruins have a horrible secondary, but if you're going to have any success against that defense, it's really going to be the pass setting up the run rather than vice versa. But it's just one more challenge that Arizona State has to overcome in this contest, and I'm just really curious. Again, going back to the whole aspect of, okay, what did you learn from the Utah game that you're able to implement against UCLA? This is the success that the ASU offense is really going to have to contend for. Really going to have to try to remedy, but. Ultimately, it is going to be a stiffer test, and like you said, uncertainty at quarterback, an offensive line that's far from being healthy. This one hell of a challenge for the ASU offense as much as it is for the ASU defense.
So, Hode, as you've alluded to, there's a lot of parallels between this game against UCLA and last week's matchup against Utah, with ASU coming into this as a road dog, a heavy underdog, and all the injuries and all the things that you've mentioned. Just how do you see this boiling down in Pasadena on Saturday night?
Yeah, and it's not only that. They're much like against Utah last week, they're catching a team on their home field that is coming off a loss. Now, granted, UCLA's loss at Arizona was not as lopsided as Utah's home loss to Oregon a couple weeks ago, but nonetheless, you're finding a team that is highly motivated. This is not to imply that ASU is not motivated themselves, really to erase the memories of Salt Lake City last Saturday, but. You're talking about a UCLA team that already are bowl eligible, but really have a chance, not only to have a successful last season in the Pac-12, but also even have a chance with a bowl game to actually reach double-digit wins. And I just feel that the factors that they have going for them, both on offense and defense, as you said, very similar to Utah. And I don't see, ASU miraculously just overcoming all the issues that they have on both sides of the ball to really have them come away with an upset. The last time Arizona State was winless on the road was 2001, and I do think that 2023 is going to be the new mark in that department. I see Arizona State losing this game 23-13.
Alrighty, Hode. Well, thank you so much for your insight. We will be making the road trip out to Pasadena one last time to the Rose Bowl. So make sure you're locked in at DevilsDigest.com and drop a follow at Devils Digest on Twitter for live coverage and continuous updates. My name's Nick Borgia. That's Hode Urbino. We appreciate you tuning in, and we will see you in California on Saturday night.